Hello! Hope you can hear me over the mighty Shivna River behind me. I'm in Tollymore Forest Park in Newcastle County Down, right at the foot of the Mourne mountains. And I'm just out for a bit of a dander around, see what I can see, take in the ambience. It's a beautiful spot. I just grabbing myself some B-roll, potentially on the outer boundaries of the forest where it hits the Mournes. Have a wee look for some wild camping spots out and away from the crowds. Not that there's too many crowds about in Tollymore Forest. Once you leave the main car park area and sort of the hermitage area and whatnot, and sort of head deep into the woods, cockwobbles tend to stay behind. Yes, there's something a wee bit different, just a wee bit of a Sunday afternoon dander in the beautiful Tollymore Forest. Swing you around. Of course, as many of you know, made famous by Game of Thrones, or should I say Tollymore Forest made Game of Thrones famous. A lot of their filming was done here, and I was actually able to see some of the filming taking place when I was down walking the dogs. So yeah, quite a lot of scenes down here. Usually on a Sunday at this time of the year, there's usually quite a lot of tours, Game of Thrones tours. Chinese people dressed up, walking around with swords, helmets, bow and arrows and stuff, just to get into the feel of it. But yeah, you can see why they chose it for Game of Thrones. We'll mosey on here and see what else we can see. The forest itself is full of little trails, paths, treks for people of all abilities, ranging from about 2 kilometres long. It's sort of just a foray round the river. Then for the more adventurous and fit, Stephen Reeds, who run round them, up to about 9 kilometres, and it takes up to the low part of the Mournes. A wee bit of a hike up, but yeah, not long before you leave behind the staycation day trippers, the buggies and high heels trying to walk in a forest. And then you go into the solitude and the peace and quiet of the deep woods. Very nice wee spot. The Shivna River is quite still. I thought there actually would have been a lot more of a flow on it since the floods last weekend, but it's reasonably full. Of course, it's a very fertile salmon and trout stretch. You need your game licence, your permits and permissions to fish it. And in certain types of the year you can actually fish it. But yeah, sun's starting to make an appearance again. Sort of had clouded over a little bit, but great wee spot. Well, we'll mosey on, see where we go. Just shows you the extent of Storm Karen or Ginny or Jemima, whatever it was called. The stick bridge, quite an iconic bridge. Half it swept away. Kind of bizarre. Soldier on up this side. I don't think we're getting across here. Little path closed. Of course, the forest is open to all sorts of travellers and. Hi. Hello. Quite popular with the pony trekking fraternity. Hiya, how you doing? Yeah, so for the more energetic and fit, we can extend on out towards the boundary wall. Yeah, extremely popular with people with young families, kids. Mountain biking, I don't agree with the mountain biking. I don't think that's a very good use of forest resources. Racking round around them, racking all around them, racking all around them. But certainly, pony tracking, the more natural pursuit. In my eyes, anyway. Maybe I'm wrong. What do I know? I'd rather see a horse or a direwolf or a white walker than some idiot come flat along on a mountain bike. Talking of white walkers, this is a stretch here where a lot of these white walkers were filmed in the early opening scenes of Game of Thrones. Swing around. You can just imagine white walkers walking about looking all white. Probably one of the most photographed scenes in Tollymore Forest, next to stepping stones and cascades, is this tree here with this beautiful scene. And I'm happy to report that it has survived. Thank goodness. A few bits and pieces of debris, but on a whole, it's still there. You can probably see the tripod holes here for people set up to take photographs of professional people, like Stephen Reid and myself, not that long ago. Yep. Whoa. So yeah, quite a lot of devastation. I'm just actually shocked more than anything. Absolutely shocked. There's another set of stepping stones down here, but they, the last year or the year before, they managed to get swept away in the torrent. So I think this is the first, this is the worst devastation I've seen in a long while. If not the worst devastation. Yeah, approaching civilization again. So these, probably the most photographed, or one of the most photographed sets of stepping stones across the Shimna at the meeting of the waters. They'll also get washed away. I think these are the ones that were, these were last year, a couple of years ago, yeah. They're gone. Busy stuff. Looking at the stick bridge from the north side of the river. That is mental, all right. Completely wrecked. Let's see if we can get up right here. Oops. Anyway, so we just have to they don't make it easy, do they? Go around this way here. Where you will go in your hoop. Jump! Oh, shite. People trying to navigate up the river. Maybe the path down here is completely blocked, but we'll find out. It's all part of the fun. So I'm sure you'll agree, most of you who know Tollymore will be quite saddened by the storm damage and complete and utter devastation that has been brought on by Storm Karen. Had to be a Karen, didn't it? Sorry to any Karens who you watch the channel. No offence whatsoever. Right, the path ahead looks clear enough. Yes, a lot of damage done in the floods. There's another iconic landmark within Tollymore. It's the third set of stepping stones to heading towards the boundary wall. You see one of the stones has actually been washed away. Metal. Very nice, picturesque. Trees down. Busy stuff, man. Busy stuff. It's usually a bit more neater and tidier. Winding around here, it's really nice. No doubt they'll have it sorted at some stage. Heading back in towards, back in towards civilization again. I haven't even scratched the surface of the trails here in Tollymore. Still be walking and walking and walking since the start, and still wouldn't be at the top. Great spot. Great spot. Most of those from Northern Ireland will know this place. They've been coming since their childhood, basically. They've been coming since I was a fetus, basically. But there you go. Okay. You can see another part of the path that has not completely washed away. That is crazy. For those of you who know this spot, my goodness. Yep. Really right. Of course, there'll be some crack out for the walk when the for a walk when the storm hits you. Give you a little bit of diffs. The path is absolutely wrecked. It's usually just a little fine gravel path, small shale. It's just been uprooted to its base layers of the big boulders. Look at that. The river has just carved it out. A knife through butter. There's a hoop here too. So now come to a collapsed. Oops. Part of it. Yeah, it's easy enough to get through, but I suppose they're covering themselves like for the cockwommels will fall and break their arses. Oh, half broke. You've only yourself to blame. Because if I go over on the hook, I'm only myself to blame. I think it's for the professional insurance claimants. Still beautiful despite all the flood damage. Right, I'm rambling again. So, come to the boundary wall before the walks start to head way up towards the top end of the forest, which is a bit of a slog. But this is a spot where they swing you around. When Bev and Sue were here 7 or 8 years ago, can't even remember what it is, we made and a Newkshook. And Bev keeps on going on at me about, is it still there? Have you been looking after it? So the Newkshook, basically, in days gone by, the Inuit people of northern Canada, they would have built these like stone totems, really, and they're like sort of 2 feet, 2 arms and a head, a body and a head. And when there was good seal fishing or good seal hunting and good fishing, they would have left these Newkshooks at the point where the good supplies were, so that other Inuits who are travelling in the vast wilderness, the Arctic Canadian regions, would see a Newkshook and know that there was or is good hunting in that area. Also, there are markers like for finding their way back again. So just arrived up at it, Bev. And we'll see the remains of it. The 2 feet are still here. There's 1 foot. There's the 2nd foot. But the rest of the materials are still here. So I think that was maybe the body, if I remember rightly. So pop that on there. If I can't, no, it's not going to work. There's a flatter one for that, because you had, maybe it was this one here. Ooh. Yeah, you had that served as the 2 arms, and then the head would have sat on top. Did we use the head? I think that was the head there, all covered in moss now. Yeah, so don't know if you can make that out too well, but there's your Newkshook. Let's see if I can get you down a bit. So there's the head, the arms and the feet. It was built by Bev all those years ago, and the 2 feet were still standing. The foundations were still here, Bev. So that's my bit done. So maybe now you'll stop going on about me about the Newkshook. Right, I think I'll have some soup here in the jet boil, just while we're here. Nice quiet little spot, away from the river noise. Actually wouldn't be a bad wee spot to do a wee wild camp, stealth camp. But I know there's better places on out. There's another wee stick bridge. If it hasn't washed away, we'll come to it shortly. When you go over the wall, you go through a very thick sort of a forest towards the salmon leaps. We'll have a wee look at that. Anyway, get the soup on. So, here we are, Bev. Do you remember the place? I think you have a few photographs off this wee spot here. But yes, having a little soup snack beside the newly restored Newkshook. You'll be glad to hear. No more sleepless nights for you. Oh, that's nice. Seen a deer earlier, but I wasn't quick enough with the. As soon as you hear them, they're gone. As soon as you turn around, you see a flash of its arse. That's away. Such a nice calm in the forest. It's a wee spot I would usually go to. Well, the spot I would normally go to for my other hobby, so to speak. When we're doing a bit of paganism and whatnot, you know, and a bit of being at one and communing with nature. There's about another couple of miles on up the trek in a quite secluded spot for obvious reasons. But we'll see how we go. I might even try and go over to the salmon leaps to see if there's any suitable stealth camping or wild camping spots there. It's just nice to get out for a dander in the woods.
Seen a jay earlier as well. I always like seeing jays. It's actually very tasty. The best soup in the world is the soup that you have with you. I'll mention a couple of people. I'm looking forward to Cave Hill Rock. Cinco, your next video, mate. James out and about is throwing out some really nice material, nice content this past few uploads. I just got a notification, funny enough, when I was up in the car park, James, that your video was up and ready to watch, so I'll watch that later on tonight when I get home. Looking forward to it. Severick, I think you were, possibly. Not sure, just had a quick glance at your notification. Chris, I don't know how you do these vlogs every single day, but I mean, my goodness, man, what are you up to now? 166 or 167th day of since lockdown, basically, right up to this present time. But I can see you actually carrying on, and I think there's going to be another lockdown, to be honest with you. It's just, there's a lot of cockwombles about. I mean, even today, like, I was in two minds. I knew it was going to be busy at the touristy bit, or the day tripper bit. But I can hear the park ranger out in his 4x4. A lot of the paths and tracks have been washed away with the river. And so a lot of the wee trails have been closed. So unless somebody has squealed on me that I have went along a forbidden path, he's out looking for me. I doubt it very much. Now, it's the sort of place you could come to a bit of a misadventure because of the size of the spot. I mean, Northern Ireland Mountain Rescue, they would base themselves, depending, of course, the locality of the injury, or if there's a party lost or whatever in bad weather, they'll come up through here, then head on up, then hit the Mournes at the top of the forest, and of course they can come in via Newcastle. Just depends wherever the casualties are. But yeah, I'm looking around here, half sort of expecting to see a white walker up here, or a direwolf. Very Game of Thrones-ish. This is the forest that made Game of Thrones famous, not the other way around. Tollymore was always famous, way before Game of Thrones. But yeah, it was nice of HBO to choose here, based themselves in Titanic Quarter in Belfast for the vast majority of their filming and whatnot. Yeah, it was sort of not everybody's cup of tea. I initially watched it because of I knew it was going to be based in Northern Ireland. There's going to be Northern Irish scenes, and Tollymore was mentioned, as well as out by Strangford, etc. So that was the only reason I started watching it, thinking it was going to be a big load of nonsense. But I actually got quite hooked on it, and I was looking forward feverishly to every next episode. So if you haven't watched it before, if it's not your cup of tea, it wasn't my cup of tea initially, but once you get into it, it's really quite addictive. The ending was a bit stupid, really. So it was, it was all the big build up to this King of the North, the White Walker, this king, supernatural White Walker type bio, and it was a build up. Winter is coming. There wasn't an episode went by that somebody, Jon Snow or whoever, said winter is coming. The advance of the undead, the White Walkers, and the King of the White Walkers, and then a wee girl with a special knife, Valerian knife or whatever it was, or and the last sort of scene, she can jumping out, stabbed him, and he turned into a big pile of ice cubes. That was it, like, no build-up. He didn't even speak, he didn't even have any words. So I thought it was a bit of an anticlimax, and I wasn't on my own for that with that there, because a lot of people didn't really like the ending. It was a bit naff, but up until that point, it was really quite good. There's little croutons in there, crunchy bits. Very nice indeed. I'll finish up here and we'll go a wee bit further. The weather's still holding up, still dry. The forecast I don't think was for any rain today. So, but I bought the poncho just in case. And a couple of dry sacks for the camera gear if it starts to chuck it down, but there's plenty of cover in the trees. Yeah, so as Chris would say, keep it on, keep it on. Bulldog drones, I haven't got my little mini Mavic up and running yet for the simple reason I'm waiting. I have an Android phone and they recommend, I think they're in cahoots with Apple and their iPhones. So my contract, believe it or not, was up 6 months ago, phone contract. So I'm going to get the latest iPhone and I should have no issues with running the DJI Fly app. So just add a nice new, I've already got drones, like drones on. I was built in drones before drones were a thing, past 30-40 years. But the good thing about this little drone is it's less than 250 grams. You don't have to license it or register it. You still have to abide by the drone rules with privacy and this, that and the other. But certainly it would add a little bit more content to the videos once we get up and running, like whizzing through the trees and aerial shots and all that goodness. So camps afoot. When I head up the coast again, funny enough, where James Out and About was, Dunseverick, up in that general area, I'm not too fussed on that actual spot too near the car park. We get a lot of cockwombles about in the night or whatever. I like to sort of get away as far as I can, as far as the back will hold out with all the gear I normally bring for my glamping trips. Bit of a struggle, alright, but you're ready for your dinner, I'll tell you. And you're ready for a beer and a couple of glasses of wine. No alcohol today as I'm driving, but yeah, so up the North Antrim coast somewhere, Dunseverick, possibly go up to Kinbane again. Love it up there, as you probably know. Some spectacular scenery to be had. It's just beautiful, beautiful ambience about the place. So a few things organised. Maybe I head down the south again. I want to head maybe to Glendola, or Glendalough, Wicklow. But apparently it's overrun with fuckwits. But so maybe way down to County Kerry again. West Cork, Valentia Island was another one Ben and I had thought about. So yep, winter camping season coming in soon. A few hints of autumn, very subtle hints of autumn today as I was walking through. Some of the trees are on the turn a little bit, but there'll be no golden majesty and glory until close coming up to Halloween. There's a real turn in the leaves, and it's just so beautiful. I'll come down again and I'll do an autumn ramble in the woods and get the beautiful golden reds and browns, and oh, just beautiful. And hopefully we don't get an old mild wet winter. I want a nice crisp frosty brass monkeys jobby this year. This gives me an excuse to bring the Outbacker stove and stick it in the lavoo or the smoky hut. Jeez, it's hard to beat in a cold, cold frosty night. Sitting there naked. Sitting there in the jocks anyway, t-shirt. It's freezing outside. It's a great feeling. Right, if I don't close the video now, I'll ramble on too much, so look after yourselves, keep washing the hands, keep wearing the masks in public places. God bless, and catch us on the next one.
So, I've come to one of the boundary balls. Start again.